For a long time now, many of us have been watching, waiting, and wondering when the next major chapter in the story surrounding Sean Diddy Combs would finally arrive, and today, that moment appears to be here. After months of speculation, silence, and uncertainty, it has now been announced that a powerful new documentary series connected to this long-running controversy is officially on the way. And for so many people who have followed every turn of these events, this announcement feels both shocking and deeply emotional. According to multiple reports, 50 Cent, in collaboration with Netflix, has completed a 4-part documentary series titled Sean Combs: The Reckoning, which is scheduled to premiere on December 2nd. This is not a single special. It is not a quick summary. It is a full 4-episode series that promises to revisit allegations, testimonies, and events that have haunted the public conversation for quite some time. And what makes this timing so striking is that it is being released after major legal proceedings have already played out, allowing people to reflect with a clearer lens instead of reacting in the heat of the moment. For many older viewers who remember the rise of hip-hop culture in the 1990s and early 2000s, this is particularly emotional. We watched these figures grow from music newcomers into global icons. We saw wealth, fame, influence, and success unfold in real time. And now, decades later, we are witnessing the painful unraveling of reputations that once seemed untouchable. That kind of emotional whiplash is not easy, especially for those of us who lived through every era. A newly released promotional image for the documentary shows Mr. Combs looking directly into the camera, expression serious, wearing a ring, with a stark and unsettling tone. It is an image meant to confront the viewer, not comfort them. A short trailer has also been quietly released, offering a preview of what audiences may soon witness. According to sources connected to the production, the series will include interviews with individuals who claim to have been directly affected by Mr. Combs' alleged actions, along with commentary from journalists and industry insiders. What stands out most to many observers is the careful placement of this release. Unlike earlier documentaries that aired before court proceedings had fully concluded, this series arrives afterward, allowing the public to assess what they hear with greater perspective. Some legal analysts have criticized earlier media projects for possibly influencing public opinion too early. Even major networks have faced lawsuits from individuals who argue that documentaries created a presumption of guilt before all facts were formally evaluated. Because of that history, many believe this new series was delayed intentionally until legal dust had settled. For viewers in their retirement years, many of whom value fairness, patience, and due process, this timing carries significance. It offers an opportunity not just for entertainment, but for reflection. It raises difficult questions about power, silence, and accountability. It also reminds us of how different the entertainment industry is today from the one many of us grew up admiring. According to people close to the project, the series has been in development for over a year. During that time, there were many rumors, many false release dates, and long periods of quiet. Some even believed the project had been canceled. But now, with the premiere just days away, excitement, anxiety, and tension are all building at once. What also adds another layer of emotion is the long-time public rivalry between Mr. Combs and 50 Cent. For years, their relationship has swung from playful verbal sparring to bitter public disputes. And now, with this documentary backed by one of the world's most powerful streaming platforms, many believe the impact could be massive. Not just for reputations, but for how history remembers these figures. Whether one believes the allegations or not, what cannot be denied is that the emotions surrounding this story are real, and they run deep. For older audiences, it is not just about celebrity news. It is about watching a generation of cultural figures face the consequences of time, truth, and accountability. And as December 2nd approaches, many will be watching not out of curiosity alone, but out of a desire for understanding and closure. While the documentary news has captured attention across the country, another deeply unsettling story has emerged involving actress Tara Reid, a name many remember fondly from films that defined an era of lighthearted entertainment. According to reports from Chicago, Ms. Reid was recently seen being assisted into a wheelchair outside a hotel after what she later described as a frightening medical and psychological ordeal. According to her own statement, she believes someone may have tampered with her drink, causing her to feel suddenly disoriented and unwell. She reported feeling confused, physically unstable, and unable to fully understand what was happening to her body. Paramedics and police were eventually called, and she was transported to a medical facility for evaluation. Video and photographs from the scene quickly spread online, showing her struggling to speak clearly, visibly distressed, and unable to sit upright without assistance. For those of us in our senior years, this kind of footage is deeply upsetting. Many grew up watching young actors and actresses rise to fame with bright futures ahead of them. We remember them as energetic, hopeful, and successful. To now see one of those familiar faces in such visible distress is heartbreaking. It reminds us how fragile life can be, especially under the pressures of fame and public scrutiny. Ms. Reed maintains that she was the victim of being drugged. However, some observers have cautiously suggested that the episode could also be connected to long-term struggles with substances or underlying health challenges. It is important to speak carefully here, because only medical professionals truly know what happened that night. What is undeniable is that she was not well, and she required emergency assistance. For decades, we have watched the darker side of Hollywood unfold, particularly for those who entered the industry at a young age. The loss of privacy, constant public judgment, and pressure to remain relevant can create deep emotional scars. Many performers turn to substances not for pleasure, but for escape. They try to quiet the memories, the disappointments, the trauma. And sometimes those substances take more than they give. Psychologists have long warned that repeated substance use can lead to episodes of confusion, memory loss, and emotional instability. Over time, the line between escape and self-destruction becomes dangerously thin. For older viewers, this story may echo the painful realities many have witnessed in their own families. Loved ones who struggled quietly, behind closed doors, until a crisis finally forced the truth into the open. What makes this incident even more painful is how quickly it became public spectacle. Instead of quiet medical care and privacy, the moment was captured, uploaded, and consumed worldwide within hours. The world watched her at her weakest. And once something is on the internet, it never truly disappears. Whether Ms. Reed was the victim of a criminal act, a medical emergency, or substance complications, she is first and foremost a human being. A person who once brought joy to millions through her work. A person who, like all of us, deserves compassion during vulnerability. For many retired viewers who have lived full lives of ups and downs, this story stirs empathy more than judgment. It also serves as yet another reminder that fame does not protect against suffering. Wealth does not guarantee peace. Applause does not heal trauma. And youth once lost never fully returns. The industry that builds stars often does little to protect them when the spotlight fades. As if the week had not already carried enough emotional weight, another story has shaken social media involving a cast member linked to the reality series Love and Hip Hop. According to reports, a woman identified as Mika, whose partner recently passed away unexpectedly, is now facing intense public backlash over photographs she shared during his funeral. The images reportedly show Mika inside a vehicle after the service, visibly crying, surrounded by her children. Some photos also show the children crying, their faces clearly visible. To many viewers, especially older Americans who come from a generation that treated funerals as private, sacred moments, these images were deeply uncomfortable. Grief is an intensely personal experience. Everyone mourns differently. Some cry in silence. Some collapse in sorrow. Some withdraw from the world. There is no single right way to grieve. However, when grief becomes content, it raises difficult emotional and ethical questions. Are these moments being shared for connection, or for attention, for healing, or for engagement? Many people, especially those over 65 who were raised in an era of modesty and privacy, feel that funerals should remain within the circle of family and close friends. For them, mourning is sacred, not staged. It is private, not performative. They worry not only about the parent, but about the children, who may one day grow up and see some of the most painful moments of their young lives permanently preserved online. There is also concern about consent. Children cannot fully understand the long-term consequences of public exposure. What feels emotional today may become embarrassing or painful tomorrow. These are permanent digital footprints created during moments of extreme vulnerability. At the same time, some argue that social media has changed how people process grief. In today's world, many turn to online communities for support, validation, and comfort. They seek words from strangers when family support feels insufficient. It is a sign of how deeply our culture has shifted in just one generation. Still, for older viewers, the idea of photographing a funeral and sharing it with millions feels unsettling. It blurs the boundary between private sorrow and public performance. It creates confusion between remembrance and self-promotion. And it leaves many asking whether some moments in life should remain untouched by cameras. In the end, this week's collection of stories, the release of a powerful documentary, the distress of a once-beloved actress, and the public mourning of a grieving family, all point to the same quiet truth. Fame magnifies everything. It magnifies success. It magnifies failure. It magnifies joy. And it magnifies pain. For those watching from their living rooms, perhaps retired now, with a lifetime of experience behind them, these stories stir reflection. They remind us how fast life moves, how youth fades, how choices echo through time, how private struggles inevitably meet public consequence, and how, in the end, what truly matters is not fame or fortune, but health, dignity, compassion, and family. As we reflect on all of these powerful and troubling stories, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Behind every headline is a human life, shaped by choices, struggles, and moments that can never be undone. Fame may shine brightly, but it also casts long shadows, and those shadows often grow darker with time. For those of us who have lived long enough to see many generations rise and fall, these stories serve as a sober reminder of how fragile success truly is, how precious dignity becomes in later years, and how compassion must never be lost, even when judgment feels easy. In the end, it is not the applause that defines a life, but the character shown in moments of hardship, the care we give to one another, and the quiet legacy we leave behind when the cameras turn away.